Hi.
Welcome back to another episode.
Yeah, welcome back to Miss Willa's Book Club podcast.
We're so excited about this one today.
Yeah, we're finally finishing off our first series. We're going over the last book in the Shatter Me series called Imagine Me.
And this is the book 6.
Book 6, yes. We didn't read any of the novellas. I know there's some novellas in there too, but...
Do you think you'll go back and read them?
Probably not.
I don't think I will either. I guess they are from like other people's perspectives, but
they're from Aaron's perspective, right?
I think one of them is from Kenji's.
Oh.
I know. So I think they're like from other people's perspective, not just Aaron's.
Yeah. Well, probably unlikely though.
Yeah. I
don't feel like I'm always one for reading books that are told in the other perspective from a story that you've already read.
Yes, agreed.
Like I know we talked about that with Zodiac Academy and As Told by the Boys. Like at least there was some new information there. Mm-hmm. But I've been struggling to get myself to read A Soul of Ash and Blood because it's just from Blood and Ash from a different perspective.
Oh, mostly. I didn't realize it was like the same.
I mean, I think there's supposed to be a little bit of new stuff, but it's a lot of the same content and like talking about the same stories just from another character's perspective.
Yes.
So I've had a hard time with that one too. And there's some other novellas that'll do that, like back and forth between different perspectives. And I'm like,
I don't think that's always my favorite either.
I like them when they're mixed perspectives, like multiple point of views within the same book.
Yeah.
But I don't like to have to go back and read the same story just from a different perspective.
Yeah, because it just feels like slow, doesn't really add much to the story.
Well, I just already know what's going to happen. It's part of why I don't think I reread very many books. Because once I already know what's going to happen, I'm a lot less interested in reading.
I totally feel that too. Yeah. Well, let's start out with some spoiler-free.
Yeah.
All right, Jenna, what did you rate this book?
I rated this book 4 stars.
I did too.
Yeah, which honestly, considering I had book 1, I think at 3, and book 4 at 1.5 stars, it's pretty impressive that I came back to 4 stars for this book.
That is actually very impressive. Yeah. Honestly, probably like 75% of the way through this book, I had it as a 3 flat. And the last 75 pages probably like brought it up to a 4.
Yeah, and it was so fun too because we were reading the last few pages together. Probably the last 75 or 100 pages for me, but last 75 for you together, and seeing each other's reactions while we were reading was so funny.
It was so fun. We went to the cutest little coffee shop. It's called Milk and Honey, downtown Denver.
Oh, it's so cute, especially if you love plants.
Cute. Plants and like the dark vibes,
moody.
Dark feel, moody. That is like literally the perfect way to describe the coffee shop.
Well, and they make all their syrups in-house too, so their coffees are really good.
Oh my gosh. So, because what was the one that you had today?
Rosemary caramel. So good.
Did not sound that appealing, and then it was so good. Let's cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, so what are we drinking?
This is called, oh gosh, what was it called?
Was it called a shark attack?
Yes, the Blue Shark Attack.
Yes.
And the reason that we're drinking, look at how pretty. If you guys are watching our YouTubes, aren't these pretty? Aren't they so cute? We love a good blue drink.
Yeah.
But we're drinking a blue drink
because we go back to Oceania once again in this book. And so this is our ocean-inspired drink for that.
Which is pretty dang perfect, if I do say so myself.
Yeah. We were looking for the gummy sharks, but apparently they don't make those anymore. So we found snakes, and we're considering them eels.
Yes. So it's still water-themed.
So Shelby is the ocean soup.
Oh.
Have you ever been asked that question before? Is the ocean a soup?
No, I haven't. But do you want to know something really funny? Gianni always says when I take a bath that it's like a soup, and so it shall be soup.
Gross. I mean, I would agree, but that is still gross.
I know. Our drinks are a lot better than a Shelby soup.
Yeah. They do taste a lot better than your used bath water, I'm sure. They are pretty good, though.
Oh,
we'll have the recipe listed on our TikTok. So if you have any interest in joining us, we highly recommend.
Yes, it is so delicious. It's so good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I love it, man. Well, some more spoiler-free. Do we have any more spoiler-free, I guess? Or should we just get into some spoilers?
Sure. let's just get into it.
Let's
get after it today.
All right. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, motorcycles are cool.
What?
That's another thing Gianni and I say all the time.
It's hell yeah,
Hell
motorcycles.
yeah, motorcycles are cool.
You know they are. You're not wrong. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
what was so fun finishing this book with you?
Yeah, it was really funny to see because we were at like slightly different parts too. So there'd be one part where I'm like, and you're like over here like wiping tears from your face.
Like,
There's a lot
like,
of,
don't tell me, don't tell me.
I know. There's a lot of big feelings in the last 100 pages of this book.
Yeah, did not expect this morning that I was going to be crying at a coffee shop.
You never know when a book's going to make you cry.
No, I wasn't expecting this too because I'm not incredibly emotionally invested in this.
Right, same.
So I was like, wow, really was not expecting that.
Yeah. Well, so what were some of like your favorite parts of the book?
Okay, so my absolute favorite part of the book, and always because we talk about this all the time, but like I love something that's going to invoke good emotion. Mm-hmm. So like at the very end, when she basically has to kill her sister.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I was like, I was crying so hard. I was trying so hard not to cry.
Yeah, that was so emotional, and especially just like the combination of relief from her sister from finally like being set free from such an uncomfortable and unhappy life.
Yeah.
But also Juliet feeling like I just remembered I even have a sister, and now not only do I not get to experience life with you, but like as terrible as Juliet's life was for so much, at least she got to have one.
Yeah, that's so true.
And Evelyn just never got to experience real life.
She kind of looked like a fish.
Oh God, I don't.
They said more amphibian than human.
Oh my. Okay, that was like painted a very clear picture, and I was so grossed out.
I was also so grossed out. I was grossed out in the last book too when they were talking about that.
Mm-hmm. About how the it was like fused to her face. Yes. The respirator was fused to her face. Oh my God. Oh my God. What did you think of then the scenes when Emmeline has come into Juliet's mind and is like experiencing Juliet's body and like what a regular body feels like?
Oh, I hated that.
Oh, so weird.
I was so angry.
Did you think at that point that Emmeline was going to be like bad?
Yes.
You thought that she was like bad and taking over Juliet and was going to be.
Because I was like, okay, she is like going to take over Juliet. She is going to like try to take over her life because she doesn't have one. I was like, no, this is not okay.
Yeah, and I like didn't necessarily think it was going to be ill intent, like she was with the reestablishment or anything, but I really thought she was going to be accidentally evil and that she was going to really screw stuff up for people.
But I also had this thought too where I was like, okay, we are in the last book.
True.
So I was like, is this what is actually going to happen? Like, I hope not. And I'm glad it didn't happen like that too. So, yeah, going back to Emmeline, I feel like I'm really glad that she didn't have that like evil turn.
Me too.
I feel like that would just be like so hard. What did you think about Juliet being like taken over as like Warner Anderson's like assistant or whatever?
Yeah. Oh my. Okay.
Slave.
The dynamic between them was so cringe. It was so gross because she clearly is having like the same feelings for Anderson. Is like, oh, you kind of look like somebody that I love, and she's just not realizing that. And so like all the things that look like Warner are the things that she's liking about Anderson, and she's like not really, but obviously she doesn't know that. Yeah. Oh my God, it was so gross. Oh,
it was like, so disturbing.
At least Anderson was kind of grossed out by it too, or like weirded out by it, because that could have been flipped in a really different way. And I'm very glad that the author at least made him uncomfortable with that.
Well, then I thought it was really funny too. Like he got called out. Yeah. By their friend, and they're like, "Oh, you have a conscience?"
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like why? I wouldn't think that you would be the one to like be upset about this, right? And they're like, "She's not even 18."
Actually, she's been 18 for 4 months.
He's like, "Oh shoot, wait." I thought that was so funny. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was so gross.
It was so gross.
It reminded me. Oh, actually, I guess that's maybe a spoiler for another book. There's a scene in, if you've read Zodiac Academy, specifically Shadow Princess, then you'll know exactly what this reminded me of.
Oh, that's so gross.
It was pretty gross.
Were you expecting that? Maybe not like him being like the whole attraction thing. Were you expecting him to like take her over?
I mean, I felt like their like whole goal had always been to just like have her really under their thumb, and so I guess they like saw a little bit of just, you know, they were gonna try and control her. I didn't necessarily expect it to work that well though. But yeah, that was interesting. But I'm assuming so like all the times that she was like, "Oh, I feel heat," but that was Emmeline, right?
I couldn't tell if that was Emmeline or if that was them like doing more experiments to her.
Oh no, I mean like she would like have a feeling of like, "Oh, I should explore this hallway. Why do I want to explore this hallway?"
Oh,
you know?
Okay, yes, I do think that part was Emmeline.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool to like, because going back to what we were talking about with Emmeline taking over Juliet's mind for a little bit. Once it turned out that she was really not bad, I actually kind of liked that was included because I feel like you felt more like the how desperate Emmeline was.
Oh yeah,
and that made it a little more heart-wrenching to like feel how desperate she was for like any connection and like not to be forgotten.
That was so sad. And we kind of talked about this in the last book too. How utterly sad it was that Emmeline was just kind of like off in the tank by herself, doesn't have anybody, and like it was clear that she was desperate. But you really, really expand on that here, and that's why I felt like it was just so hard. It was really emotional. Yeah, that was one where I was definitely wiping tears from my face for sure.
But more things I loved about this book, 2 couples that have really been more established in this one, right?
Yes.
First, we've got obviously Kenji and Nir,
which
love that. I love so much.
Rooting on so hard. Kenji Stan.
Oh my god, I absolutely love that. So that all of those scenes were so cute. Which I didn't remember. I don't think they said in the last book, and he just mentioned in this one that it was Nir's first kiss. Did you catch that?
I did caught that. I did caught that.
I did caught that.
Drinks. I know it's time for me to refill. Cheers. Oh yeah. I am gonna refill actually. Yes, I did catch that in this one, but I don't think they said that in the last one.
Yeah, I think that must have been like a conversation that happened like in between. So
yeah, but I thought that was really interesting. Kenji. Okay, this is one part that I did not like in the book. I love Kenji. I think Kenji's the best character in this entire series.
Yep.
But you know what I didn't like? The whole first book was like only about him. And I'm like, not that I didn't like that it wasn't about him, but I was like, nothing is happening.
Wait, what?
The whole first half of the book.
Oh, first half of this book?
Yes.
You felt like it was about him?
Well, it was like him talking.
It was a lot from his point of view.
And I felt like there was just like nothing happening. And when it was like him being like not an unreliable narrator, but a chaotic narrator.
Oh, see, I love that.
Did you? I didn't like it.
Oh, I thought his point of views were super funny because maybe just because, we both have some things going on in our brain. I don't really know. But the chaoticness of like how his thoughts are written down felt like the chaoticness of my own brain. And so for whatever reason, his POVs read more like what my thought process sounds like. Yeah. And so I read those and I thought it was so funny.
Oh my gosh.
Like that squirrel kind of moment.
Oh, that's so funny.
So I read that. I was like, that's what my brain sounds like. Oh my God.
I can actually totally see that part. But when I was reading it, I really didn't like it.
That's fair. I kind of liked it. I also think I liked it because it brought in a little bit of different perspective of like getting to see Aaron from the outside, but not from Juliet. And I enjoyed that.
I actually really liked that too. And Kenji and Aaron's like
friendship.
Friendship. I know.
There was a couple spots. Oh, let me see if I can find them. There was a couple spots that I had marked about like him and Warner's relationships, and I just thought it was so cute how it developed in this one. Oh, and the other relationship, that was what we had to talk about.
Oh, yes.
Brendan and Winston.
Oh, that was so cute. The holding the hands of the table, and Kenji's like, you. I knew it.
I know. Well, that was exactly what I tabbed. And he goes, and then there it is. Brendan is holding Winston's hand under the table. I gasp audibly. Shut up, Winston says. I don't want to hear it.
That was so cute. Oh, I loved that. Oh my gosh.
So sweet.
So precious. Kenji is just so precious. He has like the most innocent thoughts.
I know. He's so sweet. Oh my gosh.
Kenji. I love him.
Yeah.
That's so cute. Part of me was like, when we were talking about Kenji and Warner, I loved that they weren't like automatically like, oh, we're the best friends ever. Like they still had their issues. Yeah. They still had everything. Yeah. So I loved that Kenji and Warner weren't like the best friends forever after like knowing each other for like a day.
Well, they've known each other for months at this point.
Yeah.
Like many months.
Right, but they very clearly like weren't friends for a long time. They were only like talking to each other because Juliet
wanted them to.
Right. And so like when Juliet's not around, I'm glad that they weren't like, oh, well, we still just have to be friends for Juliet. Like they actually tried to like get to know each other a little bit. Mm-hmm. And Warner's sour attitude was so funny to me.
Right. I know I was saying earlier that it was definitely that black cat golden retriever energy because Kenji is just like so bubbly and happy and Warner is just not having any of it.
No, he isn't. He's like, yeah, I'm not doing this.
Yep. I know. Although one of the moments that I really liked about their friendship, I guess, was when Warner's talking to Kenji about his relationship with Castle and was saying how his use of profanity increases exponentially when you're irritated with Castle. I was like, I thought that was kind of sweet just to notice that he not only was Warner that observant of what Kenji has going on with Castle, but also he like cares enough.
Wow.
Nice. Bubbly.
Bubbly.
But he cares enough to ask like what's going on and if they're like not exactly if there's anything he can do to help, but it's kind of the same idea, you know?
Yeah. Like, hey, I'm noticing that something else is going on.
Yeah. And so I really liked that.
So one of the things that I thought when we kept going back to where it was like Ella crossed out Juliet, I wrote like 3 or 4 times, this has to be a hallucination. Like when we would go back to her parts and she's like following Anderson. I keep wanting to call him Warner, but it's not Warner. Anderson.
Warner Sr.
Paris.
Yeah, I like Paris better.
When she's like following Anderson around, like doing his every command, I was like,
you thought it was a hallucination? You didn't think she was really doing it?
Nope, I didn't. Almost the entire time until the very end where he made her cut off her own fucking finger.
That was so wild.
That was
I could not believe. I did appreciate that the other commanders were like, what the fuck were you thinking?
Yeah. Because, I mean, what the actual hell? I was like, I audibly
yeah, that was wild.
That was. Oh my God.
Yeah, that was so crazy. I couldn't believe it. He really was like testing her loyalty so hard. But then it was funny because as much as he was testing her loyalty and being all ruthless, then he was also like, I couldn't tell if he was not like protecting her. Like that's not the right way to put it, but he kind of also didn't want her to have to give up her mind yet or whatever. And I couldn't tell if it's just because he wanted a minion, because he also seemed kind of uncomfortable with how much she followed his command.
Yeah, I really just think it was that he didn't want his minion to be gone because, he just like, he kept saying to her, you're perfect. You're perfect now. You're perfect. Like, this is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, that was really gross.
Disgusting. But I really do think that it's just because that he was like, oh,
that's fair.
Now you're perfect for me. Now you could be like my perfect little assistant. Everything I ever wanted. And they're like, all right, we're going to switch her over. He's like, wait, don't do it yet. Like, I just perfected her.
Yeah, that's fair. I can see that. I can see that for sure. What did you think of Kent Adam defecting?
Yeah. I loved it.
I was so mad. I was so angry. And at the very end of the book, when he's like kind of, back in it or whatever, I was pissed.
Wait, hold on. Wait, why were you mad that Adam was defecting?
That he like went to the reestablishment and stuff. He went to help them.
But then he was the whole reason they got out. Wasn't he?
No.
Because they were like, oh no, Adam, like this is why we didn't want 2 of them with multiple powers to get out and have all the things. He caused the commotion to allow them to get out, didn't he?
No, I thought his powers were taken from him and put in because remember Paris said there was the vial sitting right next to him, and he did the procedure himself, and Max was like kind of pissed about it.
Oh my god, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I thought the commotion was Emmeline dying. Like, as she was going down, remember, and like all of the hallucinations that she's like causing everybody to have.
Yeah.
And, like, I thought that was what Kent didn't do shit.
Oh my god, no, I didn't realize
went there,
that.
Got his powers taken from him, put in
right.
Paris, I guess.
But
go ahead.
That's what I was that he like switched to the reestablishment. I don't know if I was like pissed about it because I think that he was trying to save James.
Yeah, I don't fucking care though. I'm like, that was so dumb. I was so mad.
Were you?
Oh, I was so mad.
I think I kind of understood it though, because like everything in this series, he's done for James.
Yeah, but like, you trusted Anderson to actually treat James with respect.
I never said he was smart.
There was no part of that I thought was ever a good idea, and then I felt like everybody just blew it off. Like, in the end,
did.
And I would not have allowed him back into like the good graces.
I was a little bit surprised on how quickly they allowed him back into good graces.
That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. But I think everybody else kind of maybe thought that like, oh, you did that for James. We understand. But it is. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Happy endings all around.
I was mad about that. That's all I gotta say. I was pretty mad at him.
So Kent doesn't have his powers anymore then?
I guess not, yeah. Which I was kind of bummed by because I really thought that that's how we were going to get Paris was by, like, Kent, disarming his, like, healing powers.
It's like an arc.
Yeah. Right. Like, I would have thought it was a really nice arc for him to, like, have kind of been acting only in him and James's best interest, and then to have come back around to like actually help them. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of disappointed that I didn't feel like he had any real redemption in my eyes, at least.
Going back and looking at my notes and like things we've talked about, something that I'm really disappointed in, we don't hear anything else about James.
I know.
And his fucking powers about healing people.
He had healing too. Yeah, okay, so maybe let's run through what some of our predictions had been and see how close we were to right.
Yes. Okay, so some of our predictions, one of them was that we thought that Emmeline was going to have like some like mind control powers.
Which was correct.
I called it.
Yep. We also I guessed that Aaron was going to be the love interest.
Yep, from the very beginning.
And not Adam, so got that one right. We did not get right about Adam using his powers to like disable Paris.
Yeah, so that was kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
We also did not get right, and I'm a little bit bummed about Warner's mother.
Yeah, that apparently totally was off on that one, so that was not right.
We never saw a body. She just apparently was dead.
Yeah, she just was gone.
You want to know another thing that I realized when I went back, and I think it was it Restore Me where she killed Anderson the first time?
Maybe. Or like shot him or something?
Yes, when they were on the boat.
Yeah, maybe.
In that one, she talks about the guy who like shocked, and he looked like Warner.
Well, no, that he looked familiar or something.
Yes.
Never hear anything more about that.
And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah, we thought that James's power to heal people was going to come and like be necessary at some point.
Definitely did not.
Yeah, James never actually heals anybody. That doesn't.
No.
We guessed that more of the Supreme Commander's kids were going to have powers. And
they all did.
Did they all?
Yeah. We don't know what they all are, but I think it was Nazira that said that everybody all had powers.
Oh, I totally missed that.
It was like a brief sentence. We didn't hear like anything else about it, just that everybody had powers.
Okay.
Well, because then I think her brother like did something with his powers as well, and she was like, "Oh, I didn't know."
Oh, okay.
It was super quick. We never heard anything else about it.
Yeah.
But you know what? We did hear a lot of Kenji talking in his head.
I thought it was so cute.
Maybe this book is why people don't love Kenji as much.
Oh, just because it was too much of him?
Mm-hmm.
I liked it.
I know. I still love Kenji.
I just like him better than pretty much any of the other characters, so I think I enjoyed that.
How sad is that? Because you brought up in one of our first podcasts that you can't root for Juliet.
Well, it's not that I can't root for her. I don't know. Yeah, I just don't really love her as a female main character. Yeah. She's probably Juliet is probably my least favorite main character of any YA fantasy novel.
I would totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
I mean, I get that she's young and she has growing to do and stuff, but and she does grow some. Mm-hmm. I just found her really irritating. I felt like she didn't value or appreciate the support that she was getting from people around her. And I get that it was hard for her to trust people and whatever, and that's fine. But it's not even Aelin being totally oh, I'm going to make my own decisions. No, it's not like that. It's just
it's an arrogance.
Yeah.
That's never backed up.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like she's really backed up. I mean, besides that maybe she has some raw power, and I get that. But I don't even feel like there's any point, besides maybe on the ship, that her raw power is the thing that wins everything over.
No, I 100% agree with that. Because comparing her to Aelin has this incredible power, and she has to hurt herself to not use it.
Yeah.
And then it's she ends up saving the day with everything. Where here, I felt Warner's power was actually better than hers. And so it was a little unfortunate. Right. I felt we got so much more personal growth from Warner than we ever did from Juliet.
I would agree with that. I enjoyed Warner and Kenji's perspectives way more than I enjoyed Juliet's perspectives.
I did too, and that's really hard coming from a novel where you're supposed to root for the female main character.
Yeah.
Which is so tough for me.
Yeah.
So what would you rate the series as a whole?
3.5?
Yeah, I would say 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think 3 is fair too.
Who is the type of person that you would or wouldn't recommend this book for?
I think it's probably great for high school. I feel actual YA target, I think is probably would be really good for that. And there's, a lot of adults, including myself, who enjoy a lot of YA books, but this particular one I feel is probably better suited to
YA/teen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I could.
That's probably what I think. Also, people who really liked the Selection and those types of series, I think that they would like this.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely see that.
What about you?
I think I would also give that YA/teen. Maybe if you've read a lot of high fantasy, probably not the book for you, because I felt they hyped it up as this major dystopian novel, but I didn't even really feel other than the powers, there wasn't really anything that was different. We never hear again about what's going down in the world, and there's
yes, at the end. I know, I was kind of bummed with that too, because I was really hoping that they would talk more about what the world looks like now that Emmeline isn't I don't know, doing her whole hallucination thing. They didn't say anything about what it looks like besides they talked about, and I was mad because I tabbed right in the beginning when Juliet's remembering the conversation with her mom about the birds, and she's in the bird cage and stuff, and I had tabbed that her mom said they're talking about the birds, they're very nearly extinct now, you understand why I couldn't let that happen. And so I was the birds are going to be important or significant.
No,
I felt there was it was
it's actually so funny you bring up the birds. On the literal first page, she's talking about, I hear birds, I see them, I hear them, blah blah blah. And I literally tabbed and said, I knew the birds would come back.
And then they didn't.
And then there's literally no significance to them. We've had 6 books talking about these damn birds. We have no significance to them at all.
Yes. Besides the one tattoo, which felt like the beginning of the significance of the birds.
And then there was just nothing. We never find out why he got the tattoo, why anything happened with it. The birds don't make sense.
The birds don't matter.
They don't matter.
Also, I was dying though, because at that part when they're when she's talking about how they aren't there anymore too, I marked it and wrote, birds aren't real. Because that whole scene about saying how the birds aren't really out there and her admiring all these birds and all these things about the birds, and I was are the birds not really out there? And that's how I thought it was going to come back, is because I thought it was going to be the birds are surveillance and the birds aren't real.
That's one of my biggest fears. And I didn't even catch that. The birds aren't real. The birds are from the government.
I mean, does it not seem like something the reestablishment would do?
Absolutely it does.
So
I don't know how I didn't catch that.
I laughed really hard at that.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
That made me laugh pretty hard.
That is so funny. Okay, something else that I'm like a little bit confused on. So like, I love Aaron Warner. I think he's fantastic. I do not understand the major hype around him though.
I don't get how he's number one book boyfriend.
Yeah, literally don't understand.
Because I feel like on TikTok everybody calls Aaron Warner number one book boyfriend.
One, he's blonde.
Yeah.
Two,
enough said.
There we go. That's enough said. But like, two, he acts pretty selfishly all the time, and like Juliet is the only thing in his life that he's like actually like living for.
I don't know. There's a lot of morally gray characters that I think probably have that dynamic too.
You think so?
Yeah.
I guess I like when
Kingdom of the Wicked so far.
Yeah, but he's still like. Here's my view on that. He isn't actually like only living for her. He has like other things going on in his life where I feel like Aaron Warner is only living for her. Juliet. Because even when she was gone, he was like, I can die now. Yeah, but he's...
Yep. I don't know. I feel like I've seen that dynamic plenty where it's like, you're my life is nothing without you, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen a lot of that. Or ACOTAR.
Yeah, but I still don't feel... I feel like he is still...
ACOTAR, you know exactly what deal with what couple I'm talking about. How is that not, my life is nothing without you?
I'll cut this out. Are we talking about Reese and Farrah?
Yeah. When she's pregnant and he's like, but like before she gets pregnant, I remember he like ties his life in some way so that if she dies, he dies.
Oh my god, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally forgot
I
like
didn't
that.
want to ruin that. Yeah, you can cut out that spoiler, but.
Yeah. Okay.
I
guess there are more.
Yeah.
There are more men like that, but maybe that's just something I don't like.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because I don't live my life like that, so therefore you shouldn't live your life like that.
There are no
totally
options.
Joking.
No options except for how we think.
No options, none whatsoever. Which is that's not us.
No,
like, literally in the slightest.
Completely kidding.
That is so funny.
I'm trying to think of what other spot. There was a couple other spots that really made me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
One of them. I think I even turned to you because I'm pretty sure we were reading together when I don't know, kind of all the Supreme Commanders are fighting in front of Juliet about what they should do with her. It's on page 375. And her friends are like sneaking in, and we know they've been sneaking in and stuff. And then she's there. We have the same spot.
Yeah, we do.
She's there, and all of a sudden, like in her ear, somebody whispers, "Hey, princess."
Oh, I had the best visual.
Because you know it's like either like one of the friends that is invisible. It's either like
that's Kenji's nickname for her.
Is Princess?
Yes.
I thought it was Jay.
It was Jay, but it was also Princess because she would get mad at him for calling her that.
Oh, I didn't remember if it was Kenji or Warner or whatever. I mean, clearly I didn't think it was Nazira.
Oh, I freaking loved that.
Yeah, I squealed a little bit.
Yeah, you did. It was so cute. And she looked at me, she's like...
Yeah, because you were already past that point too, so you knew what I was talking about.
It was so cute.
That was cute. I loved that. That was super cute.
There was one part that I tabbed that I thought was so funny, and let me see if I can find it really quick. Okay. So, this was so disgusting. I'm just gonna preface it with that. When she was like acting as Warner's like assistant, whatever. He goes, "I am your master." She goes, "Yes, sir." Also, I really wish she wouldn't have said it that way.
Well, and then he calls her good girl after too, and I'm like, this is just going down bad train.
No, you're turning my favorite sayings into bad ones. And so she goes, "Yes, sir." He's so close I can feel his breath against my skin. Coffee and mint and something else. Something subtle, fermented, alcohol, I realize. He steps back. Get on your knees.
I really thought that he was going to make her put something in her mouth.
I really did too, and I was not going to be here for it. I tabbed it and I go, in all caps, "What in the kinky fuck?" I was like, this is disgusting. And it, like, I know that he was just trying to, like, put his dominance and like loyalty on her, but like, oh, that
gross.
Gave me the heebie-jeebies.
It did give me the heebie-jeebies.
Ew, that was disgusting.
Oh my gosh,
I know. I thought that, so I'm glad that like Kenji and Nir had their like little baby side story, but I didn't feel like I got enough of them.
Oh, I loved one of the other things that I tabbed that I think I loved is when they're separating. I've got to figure out where it is. But when they're separating for something and she's like, well, I think I'm going to fall in love with you in the next 4 months. And he's like, what?
I know. He's like, where is that coming from?
That was so cute. Mm-hmm. I love that. And I also love when
that was so cute.
When they've like, after she had been shot and she was healing and he finally sees her again and he goes and suddenly she's just a girl, my girl.
I loved that.
And when he calls her pocket sized, I thought that was so cute.
I thought that was so cute too.
And just that they were like having that moment like in front of everybody and he was like, I literally didn't even know you were here.
Oh, Kenji. Kenji is like one of the most like sweet but oblivious types of people. Like, I loved it.
I sometimes love a like sweet but derpy like that though. I think that's sweet.
Golden retriever.
Yeah.
He is the golden retriever of Shelter Me.
He is a golden retriever for sure. Oh my god.
I loved that you said that because when we were doing that, we were talking about like Grumpy Sunshine and I said that Cass and Kieran was the sunshine.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, that's kind of like Kenji and like everybody else.
Yeah.
Everybody else is kind of Black Cat.
That's true.
You know what I just realized? I was looking at your cover. That's a fucking bird on the cover.
What, in the eye?
In the eye. That's a bird.
Yeah.
Why? The birds are not real.
It makes me so mad that the birds didn't matter more.
I was sitting here literally from the start. I thought that the birds were going to be like the most important thing. No.
There was a few other things that were either like brought up in this book or had come up in other books that I didn't feel like were, I think that's part of why I didn't rate this series very high.
Yeah.
Is because there were things that didn't feel like they closed out.
Oh, absolutely.
And I didn't like that.
How would you have felt if they would have just kept it at the 3 books?
I think it would have been much better as just the
first
trilogy.
Because I think both of us enjoyed the 3rd book.
Yeah.
Relatively well. And then the 4th book, we were like, what the
Well, the 4th book you liked. You came in saying 5 stars, and then
But then I also said that the last 50 to 100 pages like made it for me.
Right.
It was like boring for like the majority of it. But then like the last 50 to 100 pages was just like, oh my god, there's so many secrets. Which makes sense if they're trying to keep the story going.
Mm-hmm. Did you get more used to the writing style by this book? Did you like it more by the end?
I did. I feel like the part of the reason why I liked this series was because it was so fast. Like I knew like, oh, I haven't read it yet. Like I have one night to read it. I could read 300 pages in a night. And it was like super, super quick. Wasn't worried about it at all. I liked that because some of the other fantasy books I've been reading are like a little bit, dense. And I was going to say heavy, but I think dense is actually the better word. But it's just such a quick, easy read. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like you have to sit and think super hard while you're reading it. Mm-hmm. So
it's a lot more like fluffy metaphors and things that are going on in people's heads. And it's a lot like softer.
Right.
I feel like in a lot of it.
And I feel like for a lot of this, I didn't have to like pick apart at it. Where like some of my other like favorite fantasy books, like I want to pick it apart and I want to find the hidden meanings and everything. But this, I was like, we could just read it.
This one you could read at face value pretty well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What are some things from the series that was like, I guess, what was your favorite part from the whole series?
The whole series? Mm-hmm. I think one of my favorite parts from the whole series was probably when everybody from what was it called? The anti-reestablishment. What was the first group? Omega Point.
Oh, Omega Point, yeah.
God, I always forget that name.
I know.
Anti-reestablishment.
I do kind of like that name for it, though.
No, when everyone from Omega Point comes to Warner's base and they're like all staying in the gym and it's like you can hear the Rocky theme song going in the back of your brain of them all training to fight the reestablishment. Yes. And that's like when Aaron and Juliet are like finally getting closer in their relationship too.
Yep.
And like she's seeing him be a little bit more vulnerable. I think that like chunk of scenes was probably my favorite of the series.
You know, I actually really liked that part as well.
What about you?
Steal it. So the first scene that I thought of was when Juliet was at Omega Point, and then they go out and she sees Warner with the dog.
Oh yeah.
That is like one of the first scenes I think about, because then it kind of comes around on like the last page.
Yes.
When she's like holding a dog and he goes, oh, she's probably never done that before because of her powers.
Oh, I know. That epilogue part was really cute.
Yeah, I really liked the epilogue. I wish we would have gotten a little bit more of like what happens after they come back, but like it was cute.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mix between. I would have loved to see a little bit more from not the relationships, but like politically what was going down as it left off. But I also sometimes hate long epilogues, so I kind of like those short. But I hate that we didn't find out what Kenji did to her dress.
Yeah, what the fuck? It was like
he ruined the dress, and then clearly, I guess, must have found a nice, better dress. That whole scene felt wasted.
Yeah, it was like, what was the point of that? Other than Juliet being on Warner's side and be like, he's gonna kill you, and then I'm gonna help him. I thought that part was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, we never find out what happens to the dress.
I don't like that.
I know. It was, and then it was like 3 or 4 pages of Warner just like rambling on and on about how they have to go to a store.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's why I'm like, that didn't feel valuable.
Yeah, I was like, this feels so misplaced.
I mean, I guess it was supposed to be showing like I don't know, being casual then in their life now because they don't have the same threats, but I don't know. I still don't like it very much.
I didn't either. I was like, well, very YA happy ending. Happy ending. This makes me think
we all love a happy ending.
This makes me think of when we were talking about how Kenji's #1 book boyfriend and how he would give you a happy ending.
Damn straight he would.
Damn straight would marry Kenji.
Oh man.
That is so funny.
Although, oh my gosh, did you see? I think it's like Book Nuts, I think is what it is on Instagram. That account that does the AI generated like fan art or whatever.
Yeah.
The one of Adam was so hot.
That was so hot. And okay, to be fair, I always thought Adam was hot.
Yeah, I did. I had him as hot in my head too.
Mm-hmm.
But like kind of airhead hot.
Yes. Like a bro.
Yeah. A bro is a really good way to put it. I also thought like classic, think like football quarterback, kind of like hot, but maybe not too much going on up here. But like, I don't know.
Knows he's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Knows he's hot.
Well, I mean, clearly Warner knows he's hot too, but.
Yeah. But he was definitely a little bit more humble about it than I thought he was going to be. Mm-hmm. Also, what other books are there that have like a blonde?
I honestly don't know. I couldn't think of any others.
No. I don't think I can either.
Not very many blonde. Maybe some of the Hermione fan fiction I've been reading also has blonde love interest.
What have you been reading to Hermione fan fiction? And the only reason I ask is because It Gets Good has been reading a ton of Hermione fanfic.
Yeah.
And so they've been talking about it on
They talked
podcast.
about Manacled, I bet.
They did. Yeah. They did talk about Manacled.
Manacled was my first fan fiction, which I feel like was a weird spot to start now that I have read it. But it was oh my God, it's like better than most of the books that I read. Which
really
is funny because when I first said to myself that I was reading fan fiction, I don't know why that like felt embarrassing. But
I remember the first time you told me that and I was like, what's that? And you're like,
it sounds so dumb when you try to describe it, but it's so good because all of the world building and like the character base is already there from these other stories. And so the writers can just like pick up from there and develop their own story from there. And I don't know. So it is really interesting, especially when it's characters that you like or world you like. And I mean, I've loved Harry Potter when I was younger. I went to like every midnight release party. I'm really bummed that we're not going to the event for Fourth Wing so we didn't get tickets in time.
I'm so bummed. Okay, but it was literally sold out in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, so I've kind of been enjoying I think I've only read 2. I read I read Manacled and then let me see what the other one was. Oh, so I read Breath Mints and Battle Scars, which was So good.
Yeah?
And I read Manacled, which was also so good. And I still have downloaded Contradictions and All the Young Dudes. And All the Young Dudes is supposed to be the I'm forgetting what the name is that starts with an M, but like the dads when they were younger. So it has like Harry's dad and like Lupus and Sirius, and I don't remember who the fourth one is, but it has like them when they were in Hogwarts, so like before their parents and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and that's supposed to be really good too. But so I have those downloaded, but it is funny because it's, I don't know, yeah, in some ways better than most of the books that I read.
I haven't read Harry Potter.
I can't believe you've never read Harry Potter.
I know. I read vampires growing up.
Would you ever go back to read Harry Potter now, you think?
I would.
Have you've seen the movies?
Yes.
All of them?
Fun fact. I was not allowed to watch Harry Potter growing up.
I know, I remember. You couldn't watch them at my house because your mom thought it was evil or something.
No, my dad.
Your dad, that's what I meant.
My mom did not care.
No, not your mom.
I was not allowed to watch PG-13 movies, and I was until I was 13, and then I was not allowed to watch rated R until I turned 18.
Yeah, I remember that. We're very careful about movie selection at our house for that reason.
I'm not kidding you. One time when we were watching a scary movie, and I was like, we have to turn it off. My dad's going to know. And your mom was like, honey, your dad is not going to know. Yes, he will. And if you know my dad, he would know. I don't know how, but he would know. And so, yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch any of them. And I remember I went to my friend, like my long-term friend, Madison. I went to her birthday party and we saw Prisoner of Azkaban. My dad found out after the fact and grilled me, Madison, who was 13, and her entire family about letting me go watch Witchcraft.
Oh, goodness.
It was really bad. And so when I was like a freshman or sophomore in college, I watched all of them. And I was like, wow, I get the hype.
Yep.
Yeah. So I would probably go back and read them. I feel like I would have to give myself time like I did for Throne of Glass.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's a lot.
Kind of. I don't know. It's funny, like, compare it to something like Shatter Me, and I feel like it's Shatter Me is YA, and I think as much as there's maybe the last books in Harry Potter have some more mature themes, I think they're considered children's books. I'm not even sure if they're considered YA.
Even though they're big?
Right, but like the language like the and content. Stuff is easy. And if you've watched the movies, I actually think you'd read them really fast. Like there's some things that are different, but like overall you would pick it up, you know?
Oh, that would be really interesting. Honestly, especially because now I'm hearing people talk about like this Hermione fanfic.
It's probably coming up because I keep liking all the fanfiction things. I'm sorry.
No, it's totally fine. I don't mind it at all.
We share the TikTok account, and so it's always funny when one of us comes back on. You can tell when the other has been liking stuff because the feed is always a little bit different.
It's always a little different. I was literally just telling Gianni about this.
It really is a For You page.
It is. I know. We say that like almost every time too. And it's just like a little giggle.
Yeah.
It is. Because, like, you don't realize how much, like, the stuff that you're liking and, like, watching for more than 6 seconds, like, actually turns into your For You page.
Right.
But, yeah, I love it.
Now I want to get this worm out of here, too.
I had an apple one, and it was really good.
Oh, it's, like, kind of frozen.
I was going to say it's frozen, so it's, like, a little hard to chew.
One moment.
I'm still going to eat it. Absolutely, you should. I cannot believe we didn't find the sharks.
I'm so sad.
I know. Well, especially because we both were like, they will be at King Supers. And then they were not.
Oh, wow.
It's frozen, huh?
Mm-hmm. Very frozen.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Well, do you have any last thoughts? Closing out Imagine Me?
Yeah. I'm really glad this was an easy read because I don't know if I would have finished it if it was like more difficult to read. Unfortunately, I am glad it's done. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed myself while reading it, especially reading the last 100 pages of this book. I liked it. I felt like it closed out at like a good point. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if this would be my like...
Nice.
Thanks. I don't know if this would be like my recommend to somebody. Yeah. Especially our age. Like somebody maybe younger, I'd be like, yeah, go ahead and read it. But I don't think I would recommend it to somebody our age that like reads other type of books that we read. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, what are your final thoughts on this?
I don't know. I think it is there's just something mentally satisfying about the fact that Shattered Me was the first book we ever covered on our podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
And now we finished the end of our first series.
I know.
That's kind of crazy.
Isn't that so sweet, though? Like, it does kind of feel like a come to terms moment with, like, look how far we've come. And, like, when we first started this, like, I think I originally recommended this because I see it on my TikTok and Instagram all the time. People love this series. And so I was like, I want to do something that people love. I want to read a really good series. And doing a series on the podcast to start out, I felt like was really fun. So yeah, it is kind of like it's like a bittersweet though.
And it was fun to get to review then some of the predictions that we had along the way.
Yeah.
To see how off we were on some of them.
It was kind of funny sometimes.
Yeah. So I'm going to be curious then when we go back for like Fourth Wing or like ACOTAR or some of the other books that are going to have new books coming out, Divine Rivals. It's going to be really fun to see how bad our predictions are.
I totally agree. But that's the fun part about it. And I feel like that's why we have book clubs. That's why we had podcasts. Like, people love to listen and talk about like their favorite books and predictions and things they loved and hated. And even if people hate a book, I feel like they still love to talk about it.
Absolutely.
In fact, sometimes I think that's more fun.
True. Oh, man. Well, thank you for sticking with us for this series and for listening to our episode today. Yeah,
this has been so much fun. It's really fun to close out the first series that we covered on the podcast, for sure.
Cheers to that.
Let me grab my drink. Not as satisfying as Ding, but you can see it on the video. Well, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
We'll see you next week.